Birds fans. Joe Giglio at WIP had some words, and the reason I want to play this is not just to bash Joe, although we'll of course do that as well. I've also got something that I really want you to hear from Michael Irvin. Yes, I know, Cowboys legend. It hurts, but he's got some interesting things to say. The reason I want to play this clip from Joe is because I think it completely exposes how intellectually shallow these clowns are. They're emotional fools all up in their feels who have an irrational hatred for Jalen Hurts. That is it. You're going to listen to this. This is nuts, and I'm going to talk about why I think it's nuts. But anyway.
If I was Howie Roseman, and I'm sitting here and I have a quarterback in Jalen Hurts that obviously there's some question about.
Super Bowl winning quarterback,
but there's some question about where the future is, right? Super Bowl MVP.
Super Bowl MVP.
Thank you for making sure I remember these things.
Yeah, you don't ever forget.
Okay,
you do forget.
There are questions about his future. Can we get to that point?
Handsome.
Okay, wonderful. Questions about Jalen Hurts' future. I think it is fair to wonder a year from now if they're going to get a quarterback, draft one, or move on from Jalen. I think it's fair to wonder that. So my thought is, what if I have an opportunity to jump the market right now and do something right now to set the franchise up moving forward?
Oh, here we go.
Well, I'm just going to, here's what I'm doing. I have a team with the #1 overall pick in the draft out in Las Vegas with an owner that has been on the record saying how much he loves Jalen Hurts. If I was Howie Roseman, I would call the Raiders and I would offer Jalen Hurts to the Raiders for the #1 pick. Now, do I expect them to take it? I probably don't. But I'd make them say no. I would make them say no, and I would reset the Philadelphia Eagles with Fernando Mendoza as the quarterback. I would make them say no. If I was Howie Roseman.
Let me get this straight, Joey. First of all, the only questions about Jalen Hurts' future are coming from the idiots like yourself. I don't believe that's true inside the Eagles organization. And we sure as hell can't believe anything when it comes to leaks and anonymous sources anymore, can we, after the Diana Rossini mess? So that's a non-starter, because I don't hear any of y'all talking about Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, all signed 5-year extensions within, weeks, maybe a couple of months of Jalen Hurts extension. So they all are on the same timetable, same contract, but none of you are talking about the fact that neither one of them are having contract extension talks. No, it's only Jalen Hurts. We know y'all keep lying about him not having any more guaranteed money after this season, because we know he's got at least 22, 23 million guaranteed at 2027. By the way, it's also ridiculous to say you expect them to say no, but you want to make them say it, and then follow with reset the organization by drafting a quarterback. Well, you just said the Raiders are going to say no, so how do you then draft with the #1 pick if you don't have it? Because the Raiders said no. It makes no sense at all. But here's the big thing that I want to talk about with this. All year long, or really his whole career. But we know it got elevated this year because after last year and with the expectations, everyone felt this was a huge down year for the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts set a career high in touchdown passes, by the way. You have told us nonstop, you've beat the drum all year long. Jalen Hurts is not elite. Jalen Hurts, a lot of y'all talking about how he's not top 15, which is half the league, so he's not even average. The man is not even an average quarterback in the NFL, and yet pick. A quarterback probably not even entering his prime yet, who's been to 2 Super Bowls in 5 years, won one of them, outplayed Patrick Mahomes, of all people, in the other one, has a Super Bowl MVP. By the way, in that time of 5 years, for all the people who keep talking about the Eagles' passing attack and Jalen Hurts is so limited, despite the fact that they don't throw nearly as much as the Lamar Jacksons and the Joe Burrows and the Patrick Mahomes and the Josh Allens and the Matthew Staffords, Jalen Hurts is 8th in passing yards over the past 5 years. Top 10 in the raw stat of passing yards. Y'all just don't like how he looks. Y'all just don't like him because you didn't expect him to be successful in the NFL. You bashed him. He was a college quarterback. He was a running back playing the position. He was a gadget guy. And then he takes over for the anointed one, the golden child Carson Wentz, becomes all pro, ends up second in MVP voting in a year he should have won it, gets a Super Bowl MVP. You can't have that. You can't have that. That makes you look bad. All right, now I want to play this clip because this is important. And one more point I want to make. I'm kind of combining two things, but this is Michael Irvin talking about Jalen Hurts.
Tell me how the hell I'm sitting here listening to and watching everybody trip talking about the goodwill that they have run out of when it comes to Jalen Hurts. Could you imagine if Jalen Hurts' accomplishments were wrapped around Josh Allen? You think they would even have a thought about saying, well, this is a spot in the road for Jalen Hurts? If Jalen Hurts' accomplishments were wrapped around Joe Burrow, you think anybody anywhere in Cincinnati or anywhere in the world would be saying it's a make it or break it year for Joe? And for the Philadelphia Eagles to be saying it is as crazy as those other two situations. What the hell? This man been in the last two Super Bowls over the last 3-4 years. Won one. Outplayed the best player in the NFL in the other that he lost. And he has no room that we're hearing this now. No, not 5 years from now. No, 3 years from now. Not 2 years from now. Right now, he just won last year.
Yes, Michael Irvin. Yes, this is going to be a good one for all those Cowboys fans who probably weren't alive the last time they sniffed a Super Bowl, always yapping on X and on Twitter about Jalen Hurts. Yeah, well, here's your boy, Cowboys legend, Michael Irvin, talking about all the nonsense being spewed about Jalen Hurts. And you know he's 100% correct. If Josh Allen had been to 2 Super Bowls, played that like Jalen Hurts, if he had Jalen Hurts numbers, got a Super Bowl MVP, Lamar Jackson, same thing, Joe Burrow, same thing, y'all would be putting him in the Hall of Fame already. By the way, how many Super Bowls did Matthew Stafford even sniff in his, 12, 13 years in Detroit? How many? Yeah, that's what I thought. Here's the other thing. Last thing I want to point out with the Michael Irvin stuff. You notice the players going out and trashing Jalen Hurts? Do you notice something they all have in common? They're trash, right? You got a bunch of nobodies, a bunch of never wases out there yapping about Jalen Hurts. And yet greatness recognizes greatness, because we all know it's not just Michael Irvin. We know Tom Brady loves Jalen Hurts. We know Peyton Manning loves Jalen Hurts. And we've heard Peyton Manning talking about how Jalen Hurts asks him all these great questions and talks about the game, and he's a student of the game, and he breaks things down. This is all a BS narrative with clowns like Joe who just hate Jalen Hurts, period. They're idiots. They're fools, and we're going to keep calling them out because it's kind of fun. Let me know your thoughts. Smash the like button, subscribe. Really do appreciate y'all. I'll talk to you later.